Today we're going to discuss the McKenzie Sharilla case. It's been a hot topic. I've seen her on my timeline like crazy. It's front page on Netflix. I have seen the Netflix documentary. I have not seen the Hulu version of it yet. So for those of you that have seen that, I have not seen that version. But one of my members made a comment, and I thought it fit, you know, because it actually gave me the idea of actually doing a video on this. So shout out Eli, appreciate that. You know, he said he would like to see a breakdown of, you know, the McKenzie Sharilla, all my thoughts on it. And so body cam or law and crime body cam, they put out a little something, so we're actually going to react to that video. But throughout, I'm going to give my takes on this whole situation as well. So let's get into it, man. Let's see what law and crime body cam has to say. The title of this video is 5 Twisted Details Left Out of the Viral McKenzie Sharilla Documentary. All right, let's get into it.
I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2.
We're following fallout from the documentary that everyone is talking about. McKenzie Sharilla spoke out for the first time since her murder conviction in connection to the crash that killed her boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and a friend, Davion Flanagan. But I'll show you the parts of the story you didn't.
Yeah, but the other guy doesn't matter because he's a new friend. That's pretty much what the mom said on the stand, which was crazy. She said, the mom said, yeah, he's a new friend. Like, wait, what? So what that mean? The judge was like, so what does that mean? His life don't matter? Yeah, like, yo, that was crazy. The mom, oh man.
Didn't see in the documentary.
How you guys did this on the weekend is just, well, all you do is go, hey, there's a warrant for, we would have brought it right down here with no problem. It's just unbelievable.
And why Mackenzie's dad now appears to be in big trouble after the movie's release. We're on The Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Parents are horrible, bro.
Hey guys, real quick before we get into this episode of On The Case, I need to tell you about this free app, Upside, that can documentary that looks at a case that we have talked about a lot here on Law and Crime. And in this movie, for the first time, we see McKenzie Sharilla give an interview from inside of prison as she is serving 15 years to life since her conviction in 2023. One of the more shocking parts of this documentary, it's not just what McKenzie had to say, it's what her parents had to say. And there's been a lot of criticism of them after this movie was released. And to this day, they say their daughter's innocent. McKenzie says she doesn't remember what happened on the night that she drove a car 100 miles per hour into a wall, killing Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. Now, the evidence proved otherwise. A judge in Ohio found McKenzie Sharilla guilty in 2023, and she is serving 15 years to life in a prison in Ohio. Now, the fallout that we're talking,
which is not right. Davion, like, that's the kid's name. Davion, that's the one that the mom was like, well, he's a new friend. Like, as if that freaking sad situation. The mom and her dad of McKenzie, you can see why she acts the way she acts. She is a spoiled brat, could do no wrong, nothing. Like they didn't. And then there was a scene in the Netflix movie where he pretty much was like, you know, he knew that she did drugs, right? He knew that she did drugs, and they pretty much condoned it. And I'm like, come on, man.
talking about today has to do with McKenzie's dad. He is featured prominently in this documentary. He unapologetically supports his daughter and says that she is innocent and that the judge got it wrong. But now it appears he's in trouble with his job because of what he said in the documentary. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And we're also going to talk about some of the parts of the story that you didn't see in this documentary. It's a really good documentary, but I was surprised that there were some parts of the evidence that prosecutors laid out in the trial that didn't make it into the movie. So let's dive into how we got to this point. McKenzie Sharilla was 17 years old, and in 2022, she is dating Dominic Russo. And she, like a lot of teens, is very active on social media back then. These are some of the images that she posted to her TikTok. And in 2022, she's dating this 20-year-old named Dominic Russo. This is a picture of the two of them together. They reportedly dated for multiple years. The couple actually lived together in one of Dominic's family's homes. Mackenzie's parents in the documentary, The Crash, they really paint this relationship as something that's beautiful, young love. One day, her dad says that the couple potentially was going to get married. Mackenzie, in her own words, says, had the crash not happened, it was likely that she was going to be Dominic's wife today. But prosecutors say that story, it couldn't be further from the truth. They say, don't let the pictures fool you. This relationship was far from perfect. In fact, they say this relationship was toxic. Dominic's family testified in the murder trial that the couple would often fight. Dominic's mom said that the couple would make threats against one another.
Like before, you lied. You lied and said you would never lock me out of the house again. That is why we got back together last time we broke up. But I forgot. You can never
broke up with me
your
earlier.
word because you were.
You broke up with me earlier. You really broke up with me earlier.
This is your last chance to open the door, or you are not coming out of this house all night because I will not leave.
That's a phone call between Mackenzie and Dominic that was part of the evidence in the case, and it just gives you a glimpse into what this relationship was like. And in the early hours of the morning, on July 31st, 2022, this relationship turned deadly. That's video of Mackenzie behind the wheel, driving more than 100 miles per hour into a wall around 5:30 in the morning. Here's video from before the crash.
Okay, and they don't show it, but yo, the impact that you hear, and you see it on the documentary, or you can see it on other channels or whatever that probably show the full body cam foot. Like, yo, it was crazy. It was insane. It was a sound that, like, it makes you wonder, like, did you expect to live? Like her, like Mackenzie, like, did Mackenzie expect to live? Because what she did, she's lucky to be alive too. Honestly. It's insane. And then imagine the seconds that are going before impact. Full gas. Imagine Davion, Dom, imagine they're watching themselves run into a wall. Just imagine that. Sad.
Of the car with Mackenzie driving, fully in control, rounding the corner at a normal speed before prosecutors say Sharilla floored it. Dominic was in the car as well as Davion. Both of them died. But at this point, during the crash recovery, it didn't appear that we were dealing with a murder.
Radio. This car's split in two. Radio, there's an occupant inside. Send us a squad now. We gotta bust the window out. Send us some more units.
Any more units to progress in Alameda?
Now!
What are we doing?
31's one up. 60 on Westwood, on the 3 on Alameda.
This is not a fresh accident either. She's been here for a while. Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. Times 3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing. Bust that window out. Rookie. Oh my God, dude.
This is video of police rushing to the car to see if anyone survived. Investigators believe that McKenzie crashed around 5:30 in the morning, but this car wasn't found until about an hour later. And here's a clear picture of just how bad this car was mangled. McKenzie claimed that she blacked out, that all of this was an accident. There's no doubt that she's lucky to be alive when you look at the wreckage left behind from this crash. McKenzie was airlifted to a hospital with multiple fractures. Now, in the Netflix documentary, The Crash, producers don't touch on this, and I was surprised they didn't, because it was a key piece of evidence for prosecutors in the murder trial. And that evidence is that prosecutors say that there's cell phone data that shows that McKenzie was in this area, the area where this crash happened, days before. And prosecutors argued that it showed that McKenzie was scoping this area out. Now, in the vehicle, police found a weed pen, a bong, and multiple grams of marijuana. That certainly played a role in the story that prosecutors told as well. And McKenzie's dad, in the documentary, talked about how his daughter regularly used marijuana. But prosecutors argued because...
But along he said it was fine. That's another thing. And I'm like, yeah, some people may feel like weed is not may not be harmful or whatever. I don't know how they marketed this, but pretty much they marketed weed as if it's like this miracle thing and it just helps so many things, which it probably does, but it's also downsides to it. It makes you lazy. It makes you draw, it's just, I don't care what it is, man. Like, there's a difference if it's prescribed by a doctor, and you're taking a certain strand or a certain whatever to help you with certain things. But just for recreational use and all of that type of stuff, I mean, if I'm a parent, I don't want to see my kid doing, I'm not encouraging that. And the thing is that the parents don't see nothing wrong with it because they do it too. But honestly, drugs like this are gateway drugs. Gateway drugs. You start off with things like this. It make you feel good. It make you whatever. Then you might want to try something else. To figure out if you like it or don't like it. You may like it or you may not like it. Or you may get hooked. Pain pills. You could start off pain. You could get an injury, start popping pills. Now that opens you up to other things. To help ease the pain and numb the pain, you might want to try different things. And you might try one thing and you might think it's, oh man, this is all right. And now you hooked. Like that. I don't want to see my kids smoking no weed. Like, come on, man. Like, that shit. What? If they end up doing it, they end up doing it. But don't think that that's cool around me as a parent. But if you're a parent that do it, then it's like, I'm like, man, come on, man.
She often smoked weed, that it wasn't something that would have impaired her and led to her putting her foot on the gas, as the black box in the car showed, and flooring it into a wall at 100 miles per hour. Prosecutors say she was not impaired at the time of this crash. As McKenzie was recovering in the hospital, she played the role of a grieving girlfriend publicly. Prosecutors would later argue that she wanted to turn that role as a victim into something where she could make money, working as a model.
Shortly after the crash, Strongsville police were notified that they had received concerning emails from the community that the defendant and her mother were seeking employment with the Los Angeles modeling agency. McKenzie Sharilla said to Vitaly, "Thank you for the comment. I would love to work with you guys. I've been emailing you guys a lot. Such a great opportunity. Thank you."
A classmate shared this text message with investigators that shows Sharilla asking for him to go get pictures of her from Dominic's room so she could put them in Dominic's casket at his funeral so, quote, he can be with me forever. Sharilla also went to a concert in the months after the crash in a wheelchair, as you can see here. Prosecutors used it as trial to once again prove that she was not a mourning girlfriend, but was trying to capitalize on what had happened. Now, if you watch the documentary, there were also people who were friends of McKenzie Sharilla who argued it wasn't in her character that she would do something like take the lives of two people, including the life of someone who she had dated for a long period of time. That's something that prosecutors didn't buy. It's certainly something that the judge that decided the verdict in this case did not buy.
The police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the flats. And again, Your Honor, I'm introducing these to the court to show the shocking lack of remorse. This was something that was being exhibited while the investigation was still going on, before she was charged and arrested in November of last year. And these were the sort of things that were coming to the police, and the shocking lack of remorse, coupled with the fact that the defendant was reported driving an automobile shortly after this event, that she was seen in Strongsville again driving a car, in spite of the fact that, as her mother testified, she got dizzy sometimes from a condition that she had to take salt pills for, in spite of the fact that it was in fact her mother who provided her with the car that she used to take Dominic and Davion's life.
But as
parents provide them with everything. Her parents is just, boy, this is the product of if you've seen the documentary and you see how her parents are, her mom is pretty much in La La Land, and then the dad is just, yeah, it's insane. Now, they put this evidence in the trial and stuff like that. Do I think because something tragic happens that your life just stops? No. You know, are you just supposed to, you know, come on, if a concert coming, I don't really look at that as like, oh my God, she's, you know, she probably had tickets beforehand, whatever. I don't know. But do I look at that and be like, oh no, she's supposed to just be home and just, no. But the other things that she's saying and all of the social media posts and all of that, it's she always wanted to be famous, right? And or influencer or whatever. That's why if you watch the documentary, there's a girl that's one of her friends, she's a YouTuber or whatever, and she does content and everything like that. And they clicked up, you know what I mean? Because she was already a popping influencer in high school or whatever. And then she is aspiring to do that and get into modeling and all that stuff. And so they all, you know, smoke weed and do shrooms and all this, you know, whatever stuff. So they all kind of hang out. She's a part of the clique. You know, that's the group of people that she hang around with. They just a bunch of stoners and, you know, whatever, stuff like that. You know, that's their clique. And, you know, and even the guys, like, you know, the two that passed, you know, no disrespect to them and stuff like that, but they were a part of that clique. They did do drugs and all that stuff as well. You know what I mean? That night from the documentary, what was saying is that, you know, they were all hanging out, supposed to spend the night, whatever, but they smoking, chilling, whatever, and stuff like that or whatever. But that's the bond that they had, that, you know, they had certain common things. They had things in common or whatever. And a lot of the pictures that you see, not Davion, but a lot of the pictures that you see Dominic in, you know, you can see his eyes bloodshot. They, you know, it's, you know, you can see it, right? And the sad part is that Davion really wasn't a part of this crew like that. He is a newer friend, right? He was a little younger, or whatever the case may be, than the older ones or whatever. Like I think there was 2 years separated or whatever. But McKenzie was younger as well, because McKenzie was dating her boyfriend and he was a little older. So whatever. But he was into football and all that stuff or whatever. And then he got an injury. This is based on the documentary. He got an injury. This is the Davion. He got an injury. And then after his injury, he started to find new friends or whatever. And he got hooked up with this crowd. And, started drinking a little bit more, started smoking weed a little bit more, started doing things. This was his crowd. And his adopted parents were worried about him. He was adopted, his whole family, his sisters and stuff like that, they were all adopted by this white couple, and they wanted better for him and get with the right crowd. And they knew that this crowd is not that, you know what I mean? These kids they're not doing nothing, pretty much. That's how it came across in the documentary.
McKenzie played the part of a victim. Authorities built their case, and in November of 2022, she was arrested.
Where's she?
Right back there, pal.
Hi, McKenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it.
You want my glasses?
No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here. I'm not gonna tighten these, okay? I don't want to hurt you. You good? Are they good? Thank you. All right. This cruiser right here.
Actually, he took her out of the car, and we did not.
Okay.
Do you have anything on you? Pockets, anything like that?
We have pockets, but there's just
That's your head going in. Don't. I'm not gonna hurt you. You okay?
This is video of Sharilla in the back of the cruiser being taken to the county jail. She seems solemn. She seems emotional.
What happens now? What am I doing?
Okay, well, McKenzie's 18, so...
the lawyer said they called and said that, not to talk to any cops because she's legal counsel.
Yeah, and we read her rights. She's 18, and we are not going to ask her any questions. We have nothing to ask her, so we're not going to ask her anything anyway. So when we're done with our booking process, she will likely be processed downtown. We'll transport her downtown.
That is video of McKenzie Sharilla's mom at the police station after her daughter was taken into custody. Again, McKenzie's mom and dad defiantly stand by their daughter, saying that she is innocent, even though prosecutors would point to the black box of the car she was driving, showing that the gas was pressed down to the floor. There was no effort to brake whatsoever. Here is video of McKenzie's dad showing up at the police station. Here's what he says to authorities.
I need to speak to my daughter because you guys aren't allowed to speak to her at all. That's from the lawyer. He does not want you guys speaking to her. And I can get him on the phone, and he can tell you that over the phone if that works, or I can go in and tell her not to open her mouth. But how you guys did this on the weekend is just, well, all you do is go, hey, there's a warrant for her. We would have brought her right down here with no problem, but you hit it. It's just, Unbelievable. I mean, he's 18.
So the warrant was issued today, so we executed it today. The warrant wasn't issued earlier.
Well, you could have made a phone call, couldn't you? You had your creeper out in front of my yard watching.
So, she can't take any, she's an adult, she can't take any phone calls right now. She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay.
I don't know when.
Service just called to advise.
She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay, well, I still need to speak to my daughter, so she understands what her, not to say anything to you guys.
Okay, and I don't know about the phone, we'd have to ask about that.
Can you go find, it's mine, it's not hers, I do need it, I have other children.
Then that's how we communicate.
Yeah, and that's how we communicate.
Okay, so
I do need my phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever was-
if you had to roll out the whole mask to pick up an 18-year-old girl who can hardly walk out of a hospital visit, it's just beyond me.
So we follow the law, that's what we're doing today. So her, the phone that was in her hand is the one that we took, but I have to check with the detective to find out what's going on with that. I don't know the answer to that.
Can we find out? I do need it like right now.
Okay, let me at least
I have
ask.
another child.
Yeah. No, I get it. So we're gonna let go.
Thank you.
Then am I going to be allowed to have a 2-minute conversation with her?
You cannot talk to her while she's here, no.
Why doesn't she get a
Well,
phone
she has
call?
legal
If you arrested her, why
representative.
don't she get a phone call?
She was just brought in. They're going to process her. As soon as they get the time for her to make a phone call, she will be able to make a phone call.
You just need to advise her, she has a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She does have a lawyer.
She is 18 years old and she could speak
Yeah,
that.
but she's a dumb 18-year-old that just turned 18.
Well,
And you guys are, no, they're bullshit. All the kids nowadays are dumb. And these guys are going to take advantage of it. She's not allowed to speak to you guys. I'm telling you that.
Her
from
attorney
lawyer.
can call us.
Don't ask her any questions. She's not allowed to speak to you.
Mackenzie's dad is now facing his own issues after this documentary dropped on Netflix. Before we get...
Come on. Fucking pathetic, man. If I was a detective, I wouldn't say nothing to the parents, like, honestly, just because of the way that they're acting, you know. The mom, you know, you could give her a little slack, you know, when she starts talking about the phone. Oh, I have other kids and all that. You know, we could give her a little slack, something, you know. But the dad is just, oh my God. Oh boy.
Get into that, I want to talk about Mackenzie's trial. So it's 2023, and Mackenzie, again, she argued.
You know what? The perfect word for that? Entitled. Entitled. And that's why she's like that. She is very entitled. And the parents are as well. Yeah, let me talk to her. Let me do this. You're not allowed to do it. She is 18. That's it. Done deal.
Argued, and she still argues to this day, that she doesn't remember what happened that night. She has no recollection, she says. Mackenzie opted for a judge to decide her innocence or guilt, not a jury. And that judge found Mackenzie guilty on 12 charges: 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. At sentencing, this is what Mackenzie said.
Is there anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davia, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davia. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
Now you can hear there that Mackenzie still claimed what happened wasn't her fault. And if she had appealed, her defense may have pointed to what they believed was a lack of evidence proving that she knew what she was doing. But we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about why she won't be able to appeal. Now, prior to Mackenzie's victim impact statement, Mackenzie's mom addressed the court, and it did not go well.
This is nasty work. And this is what I'm glad they showed this. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said the mom was like, yeah, the dude, he's a new friend. You know, like, her statement was horrible. Oh my God.
She would never, ever, ever murder the love of her life, okay? For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun. A moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world. Her whole world. So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, McKenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes, okay? And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the 2 dead people.
Dominic.
Judge got her together. Listen, this is not like the typical where you're trying to convince 12. You're trying to convince one person. Your fate is in the hands of one person. For how much time you're gonna do. And you're saying a whole bunch about her and the fun that she was having. But I'm not hearing nothing about the 2 people whose death she caused. Nothing. I'm not hearing nothing.
Okay, I'm asking you for a leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No.
Oh! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That statement right there, and I'm not your typical guy like that. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm not really big into like movies, right? Documentaries, I do like documentaries, crime documentaries, but you know, I watch so much content that certain things don't stick out to me. You know what I mean? Like most of the doc, like, do I remember everything? No, not really, you know, but there's certain pieces that stick out. And when I heard this and I'm sitting here watching, because I remember this was a couple of nights ago. This was over the weekend. Man, I went to the store, got me some ice cream, Haagen-Dazs. We only fucking with Haagen-Dazs over here. Haagen-Dazs, got me some Haagen-Dazs ice cream, strawberry, you know what I'm saying? My favorite is vanilla bean, but they didn't have vanilla bean. They only had strawberry, so we gonna settle for that. I kick back, relax. I'm on the couch, eating my ice cream. And I heard this. She said, Davion is a new friend. Like the way it was so dismissive, and the judge was like, wait, what does that mean? Does that mean his life don't matter? Like, what? Why would you even, these people are nuts. I'm gonna lie. Her, the mom, dad, and her, they're not wrapped too tight, man. They're not wrapped too tight. Do you listen to the shit that she talking about, man?
And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No. No. God, no, not at all. they all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know
And
too
isn't
much
that
for
part
him.
of the problem, Mrs. Sharilla?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's a problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
But we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
Then it was the
Look at the cop in the background. Look at the officer in the background. Big boy right here. That's right behind McKenzie. Look at, I gotta put it on the big screen. Hold on, man. Hold on. We gotta put it on the big screen, man. Look at big boy right here, man, in the back. As she getting her, as the judge is getting the mom together.
At all, it was
It's a
wonderful.
problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
But we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
Then it was the judge's turn to speak.
There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, McKenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family or Davion's family or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, McKenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence, but I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do.
Yeah, because I think it was the choices were 15 to life or 25 to life or something like that. Or she could, or like, well, or you could do, if they did it back to back, like if they did 15 to life back to back, then it would be 30 or something like that. So it was like 15, and then the other choice was like either 30 or 25 or something like that.
I do believe that McKenzie will not be out in 15 years.
In the documentary, it says that McKenzie's appeal was denied. There is a little more context to that I want to talk about here in just a moment, but let's talk about McKenzie's dad. He works as a teacher at a Catholic school in Cleveland. His name is Steve Sharilla, and he teaches art and digital media at Mary Queen of Peace School. This week, he was placed on administrative leave because of, quote, poor judgment. According to local media outlet Cleveland 19 News, Mary Queen of Peace School reportedly sent this following email to parents, quote, "Dear Mary Queen of Peace School parents, families, and guardians, we are investigating allegations made on social media that one of our teachers has demonstrated poor judgment. Upon learning of the allegation, the school acted immediately and placed the teacher on administrative leave. The investigation is ongoing. We want every parent and family to know that the safety, well-being, and trust of our students remain among our highest priorities. We take all student concerns seriously and are committed to responding promptly and responsibly whenever concerns are brought forward. While we are limited in what we can share during an active personnel investigation, please know we are reviewing the matter and will provide additional communication as appropriate. We appreciate your continued support of the Mary Queen of Peace school community." Now, McKenzie.
Nah, see, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was a art teacher or whatever, at a Catholic school or so. You know, I didn't know that. But it does explain, like, to me, you tend it doesn't surprise me that he's an art teacher, I would say, and no disrespect to art teachers. I loved my art teacher. Okay. But, you know, people that are like, artsy and, you know, maybe into music and, you know, things that are like artsy type stuff, you know, creative minds and everything like that. They're more like free spirited, you know, they're free spirited. So it doesn't surprise me that he's an art teacher that smokes weed and, you know, thinks, you know, drugs is, you know, it's whatever. It's not a big deal. You know, it doesn't surprise me, like that free spirited, and he probably has more of a friendship relationship with his daughter than actually being a parent. And I could see that from both parents. They are more of the friend type of parent versus like the authority figure, and your child just having respect for your authority in the way that you handle things. You know, it's a fine line that has to be like drawn. You know, if you're too much of like the cool friend parent, you're gonna get entitlement like this. Spoiled brat entitlement. My parents ain't no discipline for real, nothing. Anything you do is just perfectly fine. You're gonna get more shit like that. You know, but when you set, you know, some rules and there's expectations and stuff like that, and then your child has just, you know, respect for you, you know, respect for your hard work and dedicate, you know, because children, they see this. You have a parent, and you seen when you was younger, you seen if your parent was working hard, you seen if your parent was lazy, you seen the sacrifices they were making to make sure you had a good Christmas, or, you know, whatever. You seen it. Right. So you grow respect for your parent, you know, not just your mom is like your home girl. You're like, nah, there's a no, like there's a difference. Like, yeah, we could be friends. We're, you know, this is my daughter, this, you know, whatever, but we're not, don't treat me like on the same level as your friends, because that we're not the same level. Okay. I'm your parent. And I'm gonna get you together if you get out of line. You know what I'm saying? Like it's levels to it, not in a disrespectful way, but you understand what I'm saying. You know, you have respect for your parents. She don't got no respect for her parents. She treat her parents like as if they're friends. You know, and that's to me personally. And I'm not a parent, so I, you know, whatever. But to me, that's not a good mix. You know, you got to set boundaries. You got to set order, some discipline. You can't be too strict to where, like, you know, your kid is going to wild out because they've been chained down for years. But you got to just lead by example and set a good example. You know, you can't be too strict, but you can't be too loose. Neither. It got to be right in the middle. Right in the middle.
His dad confirmed to this television station, Cleveland 19 News, that he has been placed on administrative leave. And he also told the TV station that he's upset with the documentary. He's upset with how it was edited. But he also says he still believes that his daughter is innocent. Now, at the end of the documentary, you saw a part where they say that McKenzie Sharilla's appeal was denied. There's a little more context to how that went down. There are some important dates to remember when it comes to how the trial proceeded for McKenzie Sharilla. Sharilla was found guilty on August 14th, 2023. She was sentenced on August 21st, 2023. Her attorneys filed an appeal on October 24th.
Wait, what happened? Wait, let me run that back.
There are some important dates to remember when it comes to how the trial proceeded for McKenzie Sharilla. Sharilla was found guilty on August 14th, 2023. She was sentenced on August 21st, 2023. Her attorneys filed an appeal on October 24th, 2024. Her attorneys argued there wasn't enough evidence to prove that McKenzie meant to kill Russo and Flanagan. But then in March of this year, her appeal was rejected, and it wasn't based on the facts of the case. It was denied because it was filed too late, just a day after the deadline to submit it. Sharilla and her attorneys have appealed the decision to not let her appeal. One of the arguments was, in 2024, it was a leap year, but the courts ruled against that. And in March, an appeals court said they were not going to let her appeal her verdict. Now, again, McKenzie Sharilla is serving 15 years to life. It is possible that she could be released on parole when she's roughly 34 years old, which would be in 2038. However, again, it is also possible that she spends the rest of her life in prison. That will do it for On the Case, presented.
And I want to see if I could find this really quick, because there is, I've seen it on Instagram. Let me see. There was a girl who was actually locked up with her. Oh, this is her. This is her right here. This girl's channel, Bougie Behind Bars. She was locked up with the Sharilla chick, and she says some interesting things right here. Let me see. I was in prison with, where's part 1? Let's see. Exclusive interview. Prison girlfriend. Being in prison with McKenzie Sharilla. Let me see here.
Okay, I genuinely did not know so many people were invested in the McKenzie Sharilla case, and I was in prison with her, talked to her, been around her after her conviction. So I'm going to answer some more and kind of go into detail about how she was in prison. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is McKenzie Sharilla. She was given a life sentence for intentionally running her car into a building at over 100 miles per hour. And I've been around her, so let's get into it. So basically being in prison with McKenzie and then getting out and watching all the documentaries, because I was incarcerated when she caught her case, when she got convicted. I knew nothing of it. It all lines up. I just watched the HBO Max Mean Girl episode about her and 100% get it now. So McKenzie Sharilla was like the first person when I popped out and was on the yard. People were like, do you know why she's here? Like, haven't you heard? And I'm like, no. They do that with big cases. People that are in there for big cases are like fucked up cases. But I was like, no, I don't know. They told me and I was like, bro, what? That's definitely like definition of toxic, but whatever. So after watching it and seeing like how McKenzie strived to like be seen and like an it girl and like have clout, she got that. Like, maybe not in the way that she wanted, maybe not in the consequence that she wanted, but she got that. In prison, everyone knew why she was there. Everyone knew who she was. Everyone knew what she did and looked at her like, that bitch is crazy. Not like in a we're scared of her crazy, because she was not intimidating at all, but in a way that's like, wow, like you just threw your life away and who just crashes their car into a building. But she walked around like she knew she was seen, like she knew she was getting attention, like she was that girl. Okay,
so and I'll stop it there. You guys could go to her channel and check this out, Bougie Behind Bars. But I'm gonna break it down a little bit. What she actually ends up saying is that, you know, remember, McKenzie always wanted to be known. She always wanted to be famous and stuff like that. So she has a case. It's a big case. So she gets that clout in jail, right? She's not in there. She's not a SEX offender or anything crazy like that. Like, she's in there for a hard crime, and she has money as well. Parents keep money on her books. She doing her thing, you know. So all the other inmates will want to befriend her, will want to be friends with her. She's somebody that would be popular in jail or in prison because she has money, so she could pay for whatever she need to get done. She may not be the toughest, right? She's not the biggest girl or whatever, but she has hardened up a little bit. There's a big if you look at the Netflix documentary, you could see there's a big difference in her look, in the way she speaks now that she's been in there for a couple of years versus before. Prison changes you, and you can see the change in the way she looks and in the way she speaks. If you watch the Netflix documentary, she's hardened, and as time goes on, she's only going to become more hardened. So anyway, she's somebody that's not struggling in prison. This girl, she goes on to, just talk about her time where she wanted to be with the it crowd and stuff like that, part of the cool kids and everything like that or whatever. And, if the only way for that to happen is, one, you either got to be tough, or two, you could pay your way in there. And, she got money. So, as far as prison is concerned, she got money, parents, dad's an art teacher or whatever, but whatever, they keep money on her books. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what's going on. But yeah, man, this is just a crazy situation, sad case. If you haven't watched the documentary, you should definitely check it out. I have to watch the Hulu version because they say, even what she was saying earlier, the Hulu version is apparently, it sounds really crazy, and there's a lot more details that the Netflix documentary actually left out. Like, for example, her doing test runs. She did test runs on that road, prior to the incident. And Davion was just wrong place, wrong time, man. Davion wasn't even supposed to be in that car. He was supposed to stay over at their house because he was going to help his homeboy with his car in the morning and stuff. But Davion wanted to go home for a few hours and then just come back. She was just trying to her and herself and the boyfriend. But the fact that he came there as well, he's just caught up in their toxic relationship. Sad situation, man. She does not deserve to be out. It's tough. I know the judge didn't want to give her 30 years, 25 years, but in my eyes, I think 15 is too short. 15 is too short. And, her disciplinary record is not the greatest inside of jail. So parole board looks at all that type of stuff. And, she's not showing remorse. And the way that I can understand why the parents will be upset the way that the documentary was done, but they didn't make you say anything. What's on the documentary is the words that came out of your mouth. If the father sat there and said, weed is fine, blah, 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 drugs, it's not the worst thing in the world, but you said those things. You tried, you stuck up for your daughter, which is, fine. That's your daughter, but you might want to just stay out of it. You painted the image that their relationship was perfect, when really, in reality, you're an outsider looking in. You don't really know what's going on. I like the part of the video towards the end where McKenzie looks at her lawyer and said, "Was that good?" or something like that. And she interacts with the lawyer, and Netflix kept that in the documentary. I love that part, because it tells a story of, like, she wants to be seen in a certain light, but she's really a evil person.